Hey Salvador, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks for joining. Right on time also.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Did you have a good day today?
Yes, today was my first day working again on my shift.
Uh-huh. Nice, nice. So good transition back to work.
Well, the first day is always hard.
I know, I know. You always miss your days when you were on vacation, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sweet. Julissa, how's it going? Bienvenida.
Gracias. Hi, Farhan. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You're still here. It's so awesome. I keep thinking
Yeah.
you're gone. You're not going to be back for a month, but it's good.
It's strange, but I asked the team, and they say the system doesn't. It will suspend at any time, but I don't know when.
Sounds good. Doesn't
Hopefully,
matter.
I'm not being charged. So
Yeah, I know. The later the better. The later the better. As much time as you can get here, I think it's going to be really good for us. So, yeah, how was your day? Did you do anything interesting?
well, today was not a so busy day. I was at work until lunch. Then I had to go to a presentation of a movie
Hmm.
that the topic that they were showing in that movie, it had to do a little bit with the projects that the organization is working on.
Hmm.
So it was important to go there, maybe to take note of some things that could help us. It was interesting. I learned a little bit more.
That's awesome. You work with an NGO, you said, right?
Yeah, it's
Nice,
an
nice.
NGO related to health projects.
Health projects. That's awesome. Sounds like something that I would be very interested in. I do a lot of like I'm very interested in health, I guess. That was my theme of my job before was actually healthcare policy. So maybe, you know, I don't know. NGOs, I'm in this process now where I'm exploring different opportunities, and I've seen some NGOs in like other countries. So it's cool. You're doing something very similar then. That's awesome. Francisco, how's it going? Welcome.
Hi, teacher. I'm fine, fine, thank you. And you?
Good, good, doing well. How's everything in Ciudad Juarez?
Okay, everything is okay, teacher.
That's great. That's great. And also Gregory, welcome. How's it going?
Hello, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys joined very early, actually, because now we can get started a little bit sooner. Um, I think we'll get started, guys. Our our article today is actually very interesting. I think we're all going to like it. So I want to spend a little bit more time, if possible, on the article. And so we'll get started now, so we can take care of the lesson part. So today we're going to be speaking primarily about am not and did not, right? So two verbs that we use a lot in English when we use the verb to be and when we use the verb does. I do not do something. I did not do something. So present versus past. I am something, right? I was something. Once again, there are differences between the present and the past, and we will learn how we make the negation in a how we make the negation correctly, right? How we negate. So when we say negate in English, or when we say negation, that means that we are saying no, we are denying something, right? So the process of negation in English, it's pretty easy. It has a pretty basic formula, right? If I want to say the opposite of something, the opposite of a verb, I can put another verb in front of it. So if I say she loves music, right? The negation would be she does not love music, right? So we take the verb do, we make it's either do or does, right? And then we have the word not, and then we have the verb. So, I enjoy music. I do not enjoy music, right? Or I enjoy music. My mother does not enjoy music, right? Whatever the case might be. And then in a opposite example, or in another example, we we often use contractions when we speak in English about these kinds of things because it's a little awkward to say words like does not. It's much easier and much more fluent to say doesn't, right? He doesn't like music. He does not like music is 100% fine. Everyone will understand it. You'll see it in writing all the time. But when we speak, we always try to make as many contractions as possible, right? I shouldn't say as many as possible. We use a fair amount in our conversation. So doesn't is the same as does not, right? So to start off, guys, I wanted to ask you guys, tell me about something that you did not do today, right? So let's use the past tense of does. So instead of do and does, we will say did plus not and then a verb, right? So I'll start. I can say I did not eat lunch today. Okay, I was very busy, so I did not eat lunch today. Let's start with Francisco, if you don't mind.
Okay, I didn't prepare my breakfast this morning.
Fantastic. I didn't prepare my breakfast this morning. So once again, didn't is the contraction of did not, right? Great job, Francisco. Gregory, what about you, please?
I didn't swim today.
I
because
didn't
it's cold.
swim today. Because it's cold outside. How cold is it right now in Israel?
It's again the summer, but it's in the night. It's pretty cold.
Yeah, it's cold at night, right? Exactly. Same here. It's maybe
No
5
season
degrees.
for horse movement.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. You don't want to catch a cold. Great. So, Julissa, what about you?
I didn't exercise today.
I didn't exercise today, right? Fantastic. You guys are using the verbs great. And Salvador.
I didn't sleep by the noon today.
I didn't sleep by the noon today.
Yes, by the afternoon.
So you can say, instead of using by, let's use in, right? I didn't sleep in the afternoon today, yeah.
In the afternoon, okay, got it.
Fantastic. I didn't sleep in the afternoon, in the morning, yeah. Fantastic. Great, great. So you guys used did. You guys all used did very, very well. No mistakes with that, right? So the other verb that I wanted to look at that we should be focusing on also is when we use the verb to be, right? So does and does or do in the present tense and did, right? That's one verb. If we look at the verb to be, then in the present tense it's am or are or is, right? Really, am, is, and are, right? Plus, we can say, for example, not and then the verb, right? So really the same form as we saw before. I can say, I am not happy, right? I am not happy with my exam, something like that, right? I'm not happy with my exam, or with my score, right? Even something more basic, right? I am not from Russia, I am not Russian, right? So many times you're talking about your origin. Any way we can use the verb to be, we can add not and we can negate that, right? So it's pretty simple. And then in the past tense, when we're talking about something in the past, we would make, it would become was and were plus not plus a verb. So you could say, for example, I was not excited to see my principal in the hallway, or I was not happy to see my principal in the hallway, maybe because she was angry at me or whatever, right? I was not ready for all the work at my new job, right? I was not ready for it. And then once again, when we are talking about different kinds of things, right? We can use the present progressive with the verbs am, is, or are, right? They are doing work, right? So we can do present progressive with the verb to be, right? So when it comes to present progressive, we have the verb to be, so something like, is, am, is, are, am, is, are, plus we have a verb that ends in ing, We can do that in the present tense. We could also do it in the past tense, right? So the verb to be in the past tense, same thing, was, were, plus a verb that ends in ing, right? Except we want to make it negative, so it would be plus not and then a verb in the ing, right? So he was not studying for his exam, right? He is studying for his exam, right? So he was not studying, he is studying. Once again, we see that negation. So any questions, guys, about how we create how we make the negative form with am, is, are in the past tense, or in the present tense, or was, were in the past tense, and also how we make them in the present progressive or the past progressive. Any questions about those 4 things, the construction?
No.
Makes sense, Julissa? Okay. Gregory, Salvador, I'm assuming same thing
No,
for
I
you
don't
guys?
have questions. It's
Okay.
clear.
Fantastic. So let's make some examples, guys. I want you guys to give me an example of a sentence using am, is, or are, so the verb to be, and also not, right? So tell me something that you are talking about in the present tense that is not happening or that is not the case, right? So I can say, for example, he is not a doctor, whatever, right? Something as basic as that. He is not a doctor. Salvador, let's start with you.
She is not my girlfriend.
She is not what? I'm sorry, Salvador?
My girlfriend.
She is not my girlfriend. Fantastic. She is not my girlfriend, right? You can say that in a sticky situation. Maybe if you find yourself outside and with a bunch of friends, right? She is not my girlfriend. Fantastic. Julissa, what about you?
They weren't dancing.
They weren't dancing, right? Fantastic. I always forget to mention, guys, the different contractions, right? So are not becomes aren't, right? Were not becomes weren't, right? Those are very, very, very popular. We use were not and are not all the time. And also is not becomes isn't, right? So when we talk about the present tense, he is not a doctor, he isn't a doctor, right? We can say them both ways. Also, Gregory, another example from you, please.
My daughter and I wasn't doing homework good enough.
My daughter wasn't doing homework good enough or well enough.
Well enough.
Well enough, yeah. So it's one of those things where.
Me. My
Ah.
daughter and me.
So we have.
We're doing together.
Fantastic. So we have to actually change a couple of things then, Gregory, right? So my daughter, we have to say my daughter and I.
Yeah.
Right? So my daughter and I, and then what would be the verb if we are talking about past tense with the verb to be? What would be the verb?
Wasn't.
Well, weren't, right? Past tense.
Weren't.
Weren't, yeah, because if we use was is for singular, right? He was, he was not, she was not. So you could say my daughter was not doing the homework, right? But when you say my daughter and I, we weren't. We were not doing the homework, right? So my daughter and I weren't doing the homework. And then one kind of quick thing, but I think this will help you, is many times in English when we say words like good enough actually works in some instances, but sometimes we also say well enough. So in this case, we would actually say well enough. My daughter and I weren't doing the homework well enough. We weren't doing it as well as we should have done it, right? So that's the idea. Fantastic. My daughter and I weren't doing the homework well enough, right? So you guys use contractions. You guys looked at past and present tense. I want to see if there's anything else. In the meantime, guys, do you guys have any questions about anything we've seen so far?
No.
Okay. Okay, that's good. I'm trying to see if is there anything else. We mentioned do not and does not, did not. We use the verb in the past tense and the present tense. Yeah, so let me spend a little bit of time, guys. We did have the verb in the present progressive, right? So we can say, for example, he is working on his homework, right? Or he is not working on his homework. He was not studying last night, right? So we can use that same construction, the verb to be, and then a not, and then a verb that ends in ing, right? So let's think of some examples for this one. Let's think of some examples of progressive, either in the present or the past. So present continuous or past continuous, using these
For
verbs.
the construction on the chat.
Yeah, let me fix it. Let me fix it because it's wrong. You're right, absolutely, Gregory. So it should be not plus the verb ing, right? So that's where I messed up before. So am, is, or are plus not plus the verb that ends in ing, right? So in the present tense, it could be something like he is not eating his dinner, right? Maybe it's vegetables and kids don't eat dinner, right? When it's vegetables. So he is not eating his dinner. He was not speaking politely, right? Maybe a kid was saying bad words, right? He was not speaking politely, right? So similar situation that we saw before. Let's start with Julissa this time. Can you give me a sentence, Julissa, using either the present continuous or the past continuous?
Okay. He was not doing exercises.
He was not doing exercises, right?
Or
Yeah, go ahead, Julissa. Let's come up with another example.
another?
Or, I mean, it could be the same one too, Julissa, yeah. Whatever you wanted to say, I'm sorry.
It wasn't raining.
It wasn't raining, right? Fantastic. It wasn't raining. What would be the present tense form of that?
It is raining.
Well, present tense, but let's still keep the not, right? So it wasn't raining is in the past. What about if you want to say right now?
Ah,
Yeah.
it is not raining.
Fantastic, fantastic, right? It is not raining, or it's not raining, right? So it wasn't raining, right? Fantastic. Or it isn't raining, right? So that's the present tense and the past tense. Salvador, let's go with another example from you, using the continuous tense here.
Oh, okay. I wasn't listening carefully.
I wasn't listening carefully, right? Fantastic. I wasn't listening carefully. And Gregory, last but not least, another using the continuous tense.
We are not playing tennis.
Fantastic. We are not playing tennis, right? So we have the verb, or we have the verb to be, and then not, and then a verb that ends in ing, right? Really, that's how this works, right? Pretty simple stuff. We use did not for when we don't use the verb to be. We use did not in the past tense. When we don't use the verb to be in the present tense, we use did not also, or does not. I'm sorry, right? So if we have a verb, for example, that we are talking about, let's say, I like to drink whiskey, right? When we make it a negative, we can't say I like not, right? We have to use don't, or we have to use doesn't, right? I don't like to drink whiskey, right? So really, the key with the verb to do, or the key with the verb for any verb that is not the verb to be, is we need to use the verb do, right? So do becomes either does or do. In the past tense, it's only did, right? So that's for any other verbs that are not the verb to be, when we are negating, right? So that's actually an interesting point. When we are using a verb that is not the verb to be, then we have to to negate, we have to use a form of the verb do, right? Something with do. Present tense, do or does. Past tense is did, right? Francisco, welcome back. I wanted to...
Hi, teacher. I had a problem with my connection, but I'm back.
No problems. Fantastic. Welcome back. Just wanted to see, so Francisco, we were talking about the continuous tense also, right? And okay. when we use the continuous tense, we can say, for example, is not, or are not, or am not, right? So in the present tense, we can use am, is, or are, and then the word not, and then a verb that ends in ing. So for example, I am not enjoying this class, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I am not enjoying this class, but I am enjoying this class. This is just an example.
Yeah.
I am not enjoying this class. I'm not enjoying this meal, right? Whatever the case is. And then in the past tense, we use the verb to be again, but we have the forms was or were. So he was not studying for his exam, right? Whatever the case is. So I wanted to just introduce this topic to you, and I was wondering if you could give me an example maybe from either the present tense or the past tense.
Okay. My daughter wasn't studying yesterday because she was busy.
Fantastic. My daughter wasn't studying yesterday because she was busy, right? So I think we understand this topic, guys. It's a little. I've had conversations with all of you guys before, and I think you guys really do understand this. Do we have any questions? If not, I will move into the article.
Let's move to the article.
Alrighty, Gregory wants to go to the article. Fantastic. All right, let's do that then. I think we all understand. Today's article, guys, I actually really like because it's talking about educating the elderly, right? That's the theme of today's conversation. Taiwan is actually losing so many people from their universities. So many young people are no longer studying in their universities that they're opening up their universities to people in their 60s, right? And these old people are going to school, are going to college in Taiwan, right? I thought it was very fascinating. So let's take a look at this article and let's see what they have to say about what's going on there. So let me real quick, guys, I'll start screen sharing. And we'll get started. All right. So the older students who could save Taiwan's universities. Every night after dinner, many of Taiwan's older people go out to nearby parks to chat with their neighbors, or stay home to watch TV and play with the grandchildren. But not 62-year-old Yu Qin Shen. He takes his briefcase full of books and notebooks and goes to college. The semi-retired Mr. Yu owns an IT services company and has been a boss for 20 years. But now he wants to fulfill a dream he couldn't afford when he was younger. I didn't go to college when I was young because my family didn't have the money. So I started working and eventually started a business. But I found there were many things about business management that I still wanted to learn, said Mr. Yu. He is among a new wave of older people going to school, going to college for either short-term classes or degrees as Taiwan's life expectancy increases and the population ages. In 2008, Taiwan's government began offering subsidized university courses for older people as a way to help them live more active lives. Falling enrollment. At first, older people had to be persuaded to attend college. Now they bring their friends and travel from other cities to take classes ranging from healthcare to history and law. This year, 100 universities in Taiwan have offered these courses, and the older student population has shot up from about 800 in 2008 to more than 3,000 today. This is happening as many of Taiwan's 160 universities are facing declining enrollment from younger students. At Taipei's China University of Science and Technology, the student population has dropped by several hundred this year. The university had 10,000 students a few years ago, but it is now down to about 9,000. Universities who must compete for the shrinking number of students fear that some will have to close in the coming years if the trend continues. The university blames the decline on Taiwan's low birth rate. Many young people are delaying getting married, not marrying at all, or are having fewer children or none at all. Meanwhile, the island's universal healthcare system, which provides medical care to 99% of the population at relatively low costs for patients, is also improving health and prolonging the lives of Taiwan's people. The average lifespan in Taiwan has reached 80 years, right? So you have no young people, or declining young people, and all these old people, right? Huge market. As early as 2016, Taiwan's 65 and overs will outnumber those under the age of 14 for the first time. By 2060, 4 in every 10 people on the island will be 65 or older. Tian Cheng-jung, president of the China University of Science and Technology, says some institutions, including his own, are hoping to attract more older students, many of whom never had the chance to go to college or even secondary school back in the days when Taiwan was still a developing economy. We feel this is a huge market, Mr. Tian said. Many elderly people don't want to just stay at home all day. They have a thirst to learn. We found that with the right programs and good teachers, they are very happy to take classes here, and we believe they will even pay full tuition to get a degree. Enrollment among older people has increased by about 25% a year over the past few years, with nearly 1,000 enrolling last year. After taking the subsidized classes, Mr. Yu became even more interested in learning. This year, he enrolled for a degree in enterprise management. Some people might think it's too late for me to go to college, but I think it's never too late to learn. I believe in the saying, live until we reach old age, learn even after we've reached old age, he said. I think lifelong learning is very important. It keeps our mind active and strong. For his bachelor degree program, Mr. Yu even has to take general education courses, like his younger classmates. That includes sports. In a school gymnasium full of young students playing table tennis one night, he's clearly the only one with gray hair. But although he hasn't played in 40 years, he returns his opponent's serves almost every time. He's not only keeping up in this and other classes, he's doing better than some of his younger classmates. That's perhaps a sign of what's to come for Taiwan's rapidly aging society, right? I think it's awesome, guys. I think this is actually really cool, right? We have all these people that are so dedicated to learn, and they're so excited to learn that they don't care that they're old, right? And we have like a half an hour to talk about this article, guys. I want to get all of your opinions, right? Julissa, what's your reaction to this article? I'll start with you.
I love it. Yes, because usually when people get to a certain age, we think that they cannot do so many things, that they have to be at home taking care of the children, or I don't know, helping with little things in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But here we see a group of people that is eager to keep learning, to keep they are still interested in doing many things, and they are proving that they can do it. Like the case of this man, he is doing better in his studies. Um, and yes, I think that's something very motivating for other people
Yeah.
who maybe they also can do the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think is actually very specific to some of these societies that are they have such good healthcare that the young people are, I mean, they have declining birth rates and they have increasing age of, what's that word called? Increase life expectancy. Fantastic. Yes, Lisa. They have decreasing birth rates, increasing life expectancies, right? As a result, they have this situation. I think Japan might be in a similar position in a few years, right? Or maybe even like some of the other countries that are in maybe Northern Europe or something like that, right? I think it's awesome. And I was happy, Julissa, to see that you think the same way. Gregory, what do you think about this?
When I hear you, I think two things. It's very difficult for older people because I know in the age brain not working like when you young.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to catch new things, new subjects. And the second, I thought, for what they doing it? For example, I'm 55 years old, learn English. So there is live working 12 years to my living
Mm-hmm.
of work. It makes sense, I think. But I see people who is in the pension, live work, not working. So for what they learning law and for themselves, I think, for self-confidence for appreciate to themselves,
Hmm.
maybe. But it's big money. Government pay subsidy. It's what is a big question for what they're doing.
Hmm. So do you think these people, I mean, that they might be getting subsidized, you know, tuition money from the government so that they can take these courses, but do you still think it's good that they are learning and not staying at home, or do you think that maybe if they want to learn, they should pay more money?
Only for occupied these people. Look, you have find great entertainment without learning, but learning costs a lot of money. I don't understand this.
Yeah, you know, I think it might ultimately boil down to a number of games, or a game of numbers. Wow, I can't talk today, guys. A number of games. What am I saying? It boils
Not
down
only
to a game of numbers.
not
Uh,
only game. Sorry.
no, that's fine.
You have traveling and meet people, and in the internet you have meet people and have conversation, interesting things, and learn. But not go to the school. It's very strange.
Yeah, yeah. So Gregory's point is actually interesting. You know, there are so many other ways people can take part in education. Going into the university setting, you know, as a formal student, maybe is not the best way, or maybe is not the best use of these resources, especially the government money, right, that is going to these old people. Um, Francisco, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's an interesting article because I think that elder people, well, they have now the opportunity to study, maybe because they didn't have money or they didn't have time when they were young.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are currently they are not sick or they are healthy, they can go to a university or college.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very intelligent way to make progress to your country or to your city or to your family.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think current actually many people retire when they're still young, but they can give a lot to the country. They can study, they can work, they can do a lot of things. So I think this is a good way to progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you know, this is something I see the value, right? I see the value in investing in people, but there's the other side to it is, can these people actually be giving back to society because they're so old? I mean, are they able to take this knowledge and actually apply this knowledge, or is it just going to be for the sake of learning that they're learning? I mean, do you get what I'm saying, Francisco? Like, is it proper to give them the tools to learn, even if there is no national gain from that investment, right? Because they're not going to be working; they'll just be at home. They'll just be smarter people at home, right? So I guess that might be where some people might not agree exactly, right? Francisco, I mean, so like, what do you think about that? You know, when it comes to education, shouldn't the government be paying people who can actually contribute to the country? How can these old people contribute to the country if they never work?
Well, I think that they can contribute to the country because they have experience. They have well a lot of knowledge, so they can handle a company or they can handle a group of people. So
Mm-hmm.
they can give a lot of things to young people too,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I like that view, right? So maybe it's not them actually giving something back to the country in terms of work, but it's the experience that they're sharing with their younger classmates.
Yeah.
That could be very valuable, right? That wisdom that they gain after so many years of being of life, right? They can share with their younger classmates. I think that's a great point. Salvador,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? Or about the whole article, I should say, not just about this, but about the whole article.
The whole article. For
Yeah.
me, it is very interesting because um, you can see when someone really wants to do something, and no matter how old the person is, you can do it. If you want it, you can do it. And about the question that you have didn't make to Francisco, I don't know, Francisco. Uh, Maybe uh, in someone old goes to the university and it is not important. It is they are going to work after college because they are making a statement of willing to do something, and that is a big example for youngest people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because young people, like when I think of myself, right? If I'm in a school or if I'm in a class or whatever, right? And there's someone there with more experience than me, if someone there in my class or in my life who has that life experience, right? I would treat that person almost like another teacher, right? I mean, these old people can sometimes be student teachers, right? They can be students and they can also teach their colleagues and their classmates about life, about so many other things, right? They bring their perspective, they bring their experience, and in this manner, they might actually be able to really positively impact, a lot of young people. It's a good idea, I think. I mean, I can definitely see, that side of the equation. But some questions for you guys, though, right? I want to focus a little bit on the country itself. So on this country, Taiwan is seeing so many, so not that many people applying to their schools, right? Why do you think that's the case? Besides the declining birth rate, right? Besides the fact that not many people or not many babies are being born in Taiwan, could there be other reasons that these universities all of a sudden have so many open spots? You know, what could be some other reasons? Maybe you guys can speak about experiences in your own countries. If universities are not full of people, but maybe we don't have that situation. I think universities are pretty full, where I'm from at least, right? Um, any ideas as to why these universities don't have students? Julissa, maybe? Or yeah, go ahead, Gregory. Go ahead, Gregory. That's fine.
No, Julissa.
Okay, Julissa first. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Eh,
Julissa.
it, in the article, it doesn't say, right, why the young people are leaving universities.
Yeah, they don't say, and I can't imagine all of the reason to be, or the reason to be just the birth rate. There's got to be other stuff. I mean, is it just maybe kids don't care about education? I don't know. I just wanted to hear what you guys have for ideas, that's all. There's no right answer. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, maybe these young generations there in Taiwan are losing the motivation to continue with a university career. Maybe they want to start their business or doing other things.
Hmm. Or it could be, some of them might be in countries outside Taiwan also. But yeah, go ahead, Julissa.
Yeah, sorry, my connection is very slow.
No worries.
And yeah, this could be a chance for universities to look to the elderly people as a target group. Maybe
Hmm.
they can offer more diverse courses for them, and they can be a good market for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with the second part, but I don't know the reasons, guys, honestly, as to why this country would see so many openings at schools, right? Gregory, did you want to say something before I was talking?
Maybe the students don't have place they apply knowledge after learning. In this profession, they don't have working place. Maybe it's reason they live in the university. Or they don't have enough money for learning. Maybe it's poverty and they need to go into work.
Instead of going to school, they go to work. Yeah, it could be all those reasons, right? Salvador and Francisco, do you guys have any ideas maybe why do we have this problem in the in the beginning that not enough people are in schools in Taiwan? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that currently youth, well, there are a lot of distractions for them. They want to live a fast or quickly life. Maybe this can be that they are quitting to study.
Because they want that fast-paced kind of, I want money, I want to make money quickly, right?
Yeah.
So, some young people definitely have that point of view, right? They want to just go out there, make money, and not study, right? I think that's a great point. Salvador, what about you? Do you have any ideas maybe about this?
And well, not really.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think all the ideas you guys brought were really good ideas, right? Maybe it's because kids don't care. Maybe it's because they have other goals, other objectives. Maybe because of money, they start work earlier. Yeah, and the article doesn't do such a good job. Yeah.
Okay, maybe could be something about the expensive of education, and so many people and so many country go to college or to university is really expensive, and maybe that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Cost, I think, can be a big reason, right? I think that's a great reason. And looking at it now from another sense, guys, right? I want to shift the conversation a little bit. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit more creative, right? So, how would you teach a class of people if they were older than you? Imagine you're the professor of one of these classes, right? Your entire life you've been teaching to people that are younger than you. Now all of a sudden you have people that are much older than you, maybe 20, 30 years older than you, right? That are in these classes. How would your teaching method change to be able to attract these older students? What do you guys think? Let's be creative for a second, right? Let's put yourself in think of yourself as someone teaching someone who is 70 years old, right? Much older than you guys are.
I was going more understanding their problems of old people, and the way of thinking, and try to be fit to this way. And patient for these people, because the old people very hard. The memory not working, and they forgot a lot of things, and say maybe I patient and have a many problem and not concentrate of the subject. So be very patient with me.
Yeah, I think patience is key, right? I think patience is a very big part of this, right? It's definitely being more patient, being able to understand these older students, right? Maybe they have special problems. Maybe it takes them longer to understand things, right? What about you, Julissa? Or go ahead, Gregory. Go, you guys go ahead.
They have their own interests.
They have their own interests.
Yes, it's interests of old people.
What are those interests, Gregory? Do you know?
Maybe kids, grandchild, and they're living in sorts of kids more than their own life.
Absolutely. A lot of older people, maybe they have grandchildren, right? Very eager always to talk about their families, right? talk about their children, talk about their grandchildren. Absolutely, right? So you have to have that kind of a personality to be able to attract or to be able to connect with old people, right? Uh, what else, guys? What else is necessary? Julissa, if you were, if you were one of these professors in a school that had all of a sudden a lot of your students are old, what would you do?
Mhm. Well, definitely, I wouldn't be the classic teacher talking and talking because you have so many people with such an experience that you need to take advantage of that. So I think these classes would be shared between me and the students, and it would be awesome to have them come in front to also talk to the others, give their ideas because they know so much. Even I guess if I'm the teacher, they will know even more than me. They have lived more. And I don't know if you have noticed that when you see to talk with an elderly person, they are very eager to tell you stories, to talk with you. And yeah, I would take advantage of that to make the class more, to try to enroll them so that they can participate more. And yeah, maybe they can work in pairs or in groups, make presentations together. Hmm.
Mhm. Absolutely. Those are great ideas, right? Giving them the giving them the ability to contribute to the class, right? Just as much as you can be contributing as the teacher, really giving them the opportunity, right? And
Or
maybe,
doing debates. Maybe there will be a nice class there.
yeah, doing debates with people who maybe like I think in maybe in certain subjects, old people would be fantastic in the audience, right? Like a history class. Can you imagine a history class where you have people in the class that are actually that were alive during that time, maybe, you know?
Yeah,
And like
they
people
have
saying
the
like,
real information.
yeah, like I wouldn't read a book. I would be like, hey, like tell me, Paco, ¿qué pasa? Like I would just like I would ask like, abuelo, start talking, like let's hear what happened, right? I mean obviously it's very rude to say that. I'd say senor, whatever, Mr. whatever, but yeah, it would be very interesting to hear what they have to say, right? I mean, or things like healthcare, things like society, like so many things happen in society, business, economics, right? So many of these people maybe,
Politics.
yeah, political stuff, right? All kinds of things, right? What else would you guys think? I mean, Salvador, what would you do if you were the professor all of a sudden? I think you have a unique experience, Salvador, because you teach a lot of older people computers, right?
Right.
Yeah, so how is that going?
Well, sometimes, um, well, for example, something like in history, they could be a really help. But when you are talking about technologies, maybe you have to be patient with them because they are not familiar to new stuff or new thing, new way to do something. But I think the most important thing here is the way that you can use their experience to teach to others. And also that they always, as I say, a great experience doing doing something and that can be very useful for give a class.
Including them in all the activities that you do, right? And
Right.
yeah, Francisco, what about you? What would you do if you were the professor all of a sudden?
Well, like my classmate said, uh, I will allow that they feel accepted, and second, they could share well all the experience that they have. So it could be a more dynamically class.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, because they 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 know how well they have a lot of experience. Maybe in technology they are not very good because, but maybe with some practice or be patient, like they say, this could be the key.
Yeah, being patient, I think, especially with technology, being patient is absolutely critical, right? I tried to explain to my mom how to use, like, how to connect to the internet one day, right? She wasn't getting, like, the website that she wanted to visit because the network was down. So I was telling her over the phone, you want to click this, you want to click this, what do you see? And it was so difficult for her. Like, just basic things like, connecting online, or sometimes if there's an upgrade that she needs to make on the computer, she's 100% lost, right? And she's not even that old. She's like 53, I think. It's not even that old, but she's like, technology comes really slow to some people, right? I think especially with older people. It's interesting. But what would be some disadvantages to having some old people in the class besides technology? What are some other times when maybe having a mix of old and young may not be such a good combination? What are some? Can you guys think of some examples? I can think of a few examples when having older people and younger people might not be a good idea. Yeah, Julissa.
Yeah, actually, I remember once in college there was a woman who was maybe in his late 50s, and she was
Uh-huh.
studying with us. She was the only elder person.
Uh-huh.
And what happened, it was that when the teacher started to make questions, she was the first one volunteering, and she talked and talked and talked. She almost was like even more than the teacher. He started to talk, so
Wow.
nobody could stop her. And no, it was interesting because she told she talked about something that we didn't even know, and it was interesting to listen to her. But yeah, you feel that sometimes maybe they can take mm, the more time than the other students to participate, or in some cases she started to kind of like debating with the teacher face to face,
Oh,
and we
wow.
all the rest of us only looking at them listening, and it was interesting.
What? The professor, teacher, or the
Yeah,
lady and the professor, it's going back and forth. Oh my God. That's
and
hilarious.
we only listening, and yeah, we didn't have too much time to say something else, but it was so interesting to listen to her. Yeah.
Was she in the class just for fun, or was she actually in a
Oh no,
degree
no, she was
program?
she was taking a whole the whole curricular,
Oh,
the
wow.
whole career. Yeah, and when she hears that some of us were telling the teachers, yeah, I want to finish my career fast to start working. I remember that she said to us, why are you guys, why do you want to start working so fast? You will have all your life for working. Enjoy your classes. I'm here and I'm enjoying university like no one else. And you
Wow.
couldn't see that she really enjoyed each of the subjects because she was always taking notes, paying attention, participating. It was for me it was like motivating. She's better than all of us.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's a great experience to have in terms of, such a close connection. Did she have kids? Like, was she like a mother also? Did
Yeah, she
she?
was, I think, a grandmother even. Yeah.
Oh, wow, very nice. One of the things I was thinking, grandmas or like older women, they sometimes bring food to class. That would be awesome if I was in the class. We could always get free food if, like, they bring food, they cook for the class. That's an advantage, absolutely. Disadvantage, maybe they talk too much, right? Like we saw with this senora, right? Maybe she just talks a little more, takes away the attention, right?
Yeah.
What about some other ideas, guys? When is it not a good idea? Salvador, Gregory, Francisco, what might be some disadvantages?
Maybe it's different interest in old people thinking, and old people thinking very slowly. Young people coach immediately new thing,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
different terms of understanding. Uh, Maybe not so good for this class.
Yeah, maybe the young people would get tired. Maybe they'll start making jokes, right? Oh, look at her. She's so slow. Why does she take so long? You know? I don't know. Young people can be very rude. They can be very, very like mean people, right? Sometimes they can be very rude and make a
You
lot of
know,
jokes.
old
Yeah?
people may be very rude too.
Oh, see? That's another point, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe it goes both ways, right? Yeah. Old people are mean to young people are mean to old people. Maybe they get into their own little gangs in school. The old people hang out, the young people hang out, right? They don't sit together in the cafeteria. They stay in their own groups. You know, how funny would that be? You walk into the cafeteria, all the old people are at one table, everybody else is other tables. I think that's hilarious. But okay, enough about that, guys. Salvador and Francisco, what else do you guys think? One of you guys can start. Yeah, anyone.
Okay, well, I think it could be a good experience to have a classmate. Um, but well, maybe in the future we're going to have some elder people studying,
Uh-huh.
um, and I think this is going to be very nice.
Yeah, but you don't see any problems, Francisco? What could be maybe there's another problem that could happen, right? We saw maybe they talk too much, maybe they start arguing, maybe they're rude, right? Maybe there are no other bad ideas. Maybe these are just us just making up ideas, right? It could be that the rest of it is actually very good, Francisco. I don't know.
Yeah, but they have to to agree with everybody that they have to be prepared for that time for being studying.
Uh-huh.
So I think they have to open their minds and accept the study that well that they are preparing, they are trying to do something.
Mm-hmm. They have to have the same level of dedication, right?
Yeah.
They have to be dedicated. They have to think, yeah, I'm doing this. This is serious. It's not just a game, right? And I think that'll help the class also. Yeah, absolutely. Salvador, what about you? Any other thoughts? Disadvantages maybe?
Um, well, I don't know. Just maybe as Julissa was saying, level talks too much. Let's let's they can talk too much. Could be difficult if you are trying to pay attention, or the another students are trying to pay attention. Could be really hard.
Yeah. One thing I thought about was as a student, right? I mean, if I'm with other young people, I'm always making jokes. Maybe I'm saying like rude things to other people. If there's an older person near me, I'm going to act very polite all the time. You know what I mean? Like I would not want to act disobedient or look like a look like a bad kid in front of this older person, right? Maybe older people, because we respect old people, so I would maybe act more polite than normal, right? Maybe kids will behave because they think, abuela is gonna yell at them, right, or whatever. Something's gonna happen. I mean, especially if she's a mother. Mothers have a different like force around them, right? They can like, they can stop things before they start. Almost. I don't know. It's interesting for me to think about it that way because I remember like in elementary school, some of our parents came, like my friend's mom would come to the school and help and bring cakes and all that kind of stuff, right? And we loved these parents, right? But we also behaved so well around them. We were perfect little kids around the parents. As soon as the parents left, we were doing whatever we were doing before, you know? I mean, can you imagine like somebody taking out like some drugs like in a school? They wouldn't do that in front of an older person, I don't think, right? Or people like drinking and stuff, like that kind of stuff happens here all the time. Universities are all about drinking in the United States. Everybody gets wasted, right? That's what we say. If you get wasted, that means that you should just drink until you die, right? Something like that. So that's what they do. That's what the college culture is like in this country, right? And if you have like let's go to a party, abuelo, vámonos, and it's like you're not you're not gonna take like an older person to a party, right? It's certain things are gonna be different in the classroom, I think, or maybe even outside. So thinking about it that way, I don't know, guys. It's gonna be. Do you guys think this will happen in any of your countries? Old people going to school. We definitely with Julissa, we saw this one person in your class, Julissa. But is this going to become a trend, or are older Mexican people, Peruvian people, people from Honduras, are they thinking of going to college, or what do? They just retire, right? When they get old.
Yeah, but they can do it here, but they have to pay. It would
Uh-huh.
be nice if the government could give a, how was in Taiwan, that this word, they have
Subsidized, right?
a subsidized. Uh,
Subsidized, yeah. If they subsidize education, uh-huh.
I think more elderly people would like to enroll in these classes.
Yeah, yeah. Very interesting. I think so too. It's not popular in Mexico, is it yet, Francisco?
No, it's not very popular here, but I think it would be a good idea to that government participates in this kind of actions and give help to elder people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Salvador, you think the same thing in Honduras would be nice?
Yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh. I think so too. I think so too. It'd be really cool. Well, awesome guys. Thanks for a great class. I hope you guys enjoyed the article. I was very excited to read the article to you guys. So
Yeah, it was very interesting.
you guys liked it. Okay, awesome guys.
Never it's too late.
I know it's never too late, right? Absolutely, it's never too late for learning, at least. So, thank you for a great class, guys. I have my next class starting now. Any questions on anything that we went over today?
No, thank you very much.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Farhan.
Absolutely,
Thank
Julissa.
you. Thank
No
you for
problems.
coming.
No problems, Francisco. Have a good one, guys.
See
Take
you.
care.
Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, Salvador. How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks for joining. Right on time, also.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Did you have a good day today?
Yes, today was my first day working on my shift.
Uh-huh. Nice, nice. So good transition back to work.
Well, the first day is always hard.
I know, I know. You always miss your days when you were on vacation, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sweet. Julissa, how's it going? Bienvenida.
Gracias. Hi, Farhan. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You're still here. It's so awesome. I keep thinking
Yeah.
you're gone. You're not going to be back for a month, but it's good.
It's strange, but I asked the team, and they say the system doesn't. It will suspend at any time, but I don't know when.
Sounds good. Doesn't
Hopefully,
matter.
I'm not being charged. So
Yeah, I know. The later the better. The later the better. As much time as you can get here, I think is going to be really good for us. So yeah, how was your day? Did you do anything interesting?
well, today was not a so busy day. I was at work until lunch. Then I had to go to a presentation of a movie
Hmm.
that the topic that they were showing in that movie, it had to do a little bit with the projects that the organization is working on.
Hmm.
So it was important to go there, maybe to take note of some things that could help us. It was interesting. I learned a little bit more.
That's awesome. You work with an NGO, you said, right?
Yeah, it's
Nice,
an
nice.
NGO related to health projects.
Health projects. That's awesome. Sounds like something that I would be very interested in. I do a lot of like I'm very interested in health, I guess. That was my theme of my job before was actually healthcare policy. So maybe, you know, I don't know. NGOs, I'm in this process now where I'm exploring different opportunities, and I've seen some NGOs in like other countries. So it's cool. You're doing something very similar then. That's awesome. Francisco, how's it going? Welcome.
Hi, teacher. I'm fine, fine. Thank you. And you?
Good, good, doing well. How's everything in Ciudad Juarez?
Okay. Everything is okay, teacher.
That's great. That's great. And also Gregory, welcome. How's it going?
Hello. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys joined very early, actually, because now we can get started a little bit sooner. Um, I think we'll get started, guys. Our our article today is actually very interesting. I think we're all going to like it. So I want to spend some time, spend a little bit more time, if possible, on the article. And so we'll get started now, so we can take care of the lesson part. So today we're going to be speaking primarily about am not and did not, right? So two verbs that we use a lot in English when we use the verb to be and when we use the verb does. You know, I do not do something. I did not do something. So present versus past. I am something, right? I was something. You know, once again, there are differences between the present and the past, and we will learn how we make the negation in a how we make the negation correctly, right? How we negate. So when we say negate in English, or when we say negation, that means that we are saying no, we are denying something, right? So the process of negation in English, it's pretty easy. It has a pretty basic formula, right? If I want to say the opposite of something, the opposite of a verb, I can put another verb in front of it. So if I say she loves music, right? The negation would be she does not love music, right? So we take the verb do, we make it, it's either do or does, right? And then we have the word not, and then we have the verb. So, you know, I enjoy music. I do not enjoy music, right? Or I enjoy music. My mother does not enjoy music, right? Whatever the case might be. And then in an opposite example, or in another example, we we often use contractions when we speak in English about these kinds of things because it's a little awkward to say words like does not. It's much easier and much more fluent to say doesn't, right? He doesn't like music. He does not like music is 100% fine. Everyone will understand it. You'll see it in writing all the time. But when we speak, we always try to make as many contractions as possible, right? I shouldn't say as many as possible. We use a fair amount in our conversation. So doesn't is the same as does not, right? So to start off, guys, I wanted to ask you guys, tell me something about tell me about something that you did not do today, right? So let's use the past tense of does. So instead of do and does, we will say did plus not and then a verb, right? So I'll start. I can say I did not eat lunch today. Okay, I was very busy, so I did not eat lunch today. Let's start with Francisco, if you don't mind.
Okay. Uh, I didn't prepare my breakfast this morning.
Fantastic. I didn't prepare my breakfast this morning. So once again, didn't is the contraction of did not, right? Great job, Francisco. Gregory, what about you, please?
I did. I didn't swim today
I
because
didn't
it's cold.
swim today. Because it's cold outside. How cold is it right now in Israel?
It's again the summer, but it's in the night. It's pretty cold.
Yeah, it's cold at night, right? Exactly. Same here. It's maybe
No
5
season for
degrees.
horse swimming.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. You don't want to catch a cold. Great. So Julissa, what about you?
I didn't exercise today.
I didn't exercise today, right? Fantastic. You guys are using the verbs great. And Salvador.
I didn't sleep by the noon today.
I didn't sleep by the noon today.
Yes, by the afternoon.
So you can say, instead of using by, let's use in, right? I didn't sleep in the afternoon today, yeah.
In the afternoon, okay, got it.
Fantastic. I didn't sleep in the afternoon, in the morning, yeah. Fantastic. Great, great. So you guys used did, you guys all used did very, very well. No mistakes with that, right? So the other verb that I wanted to look at that, we should be focusing on also is when we use the verb to be, right? So does and does or do in the present tense and did, right? That's one verb. If we look at the verb to be, then in the present tense it's am or are or is, right? Really, am, is, and are, right? Plus, we can say, for example, not and then the verb, right? So really the same form as we saw before. I can say, I am not happy, right? I am not happy with my exam, something like that, right? I'm not happy with my exam, or with my score, right? Even something more basic, right? I am not from Russia, I am not Russian, right? So many times you're talking about your origin. Any way we can use the verb to be, we can add not and we can negate that, right? So it's pretty simple. And then in the past tense, when we're talking about something in the past, we would make, it would become was and were plus not plus a verb. So you could say, for example, I was not excited to see my principal in the hallway, or I was not happy to see my principal in the hallway, maybe because she was angry at me or whatever, right? I was not ready for all the work at my new job, right? I was not ready for it. And then once again, when we are talking about different kinds of things, right? We can use the present progressive with the verbs am, is, or are, right? They are doing work, right? So we can do present progressive with the verb to be, right? So when it comes to present progressive, we have the verb to be. So something like, is, am, is, are.